Hello, every the Starbucks incident. Well, here's another incident or another tragedy, actually. With this one, unfortunately, some lives were lost in this incident, and you have to excuse the background noise. Um, I can't really do anything about it, so I'm gonna say apologize for it. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay, but it's entitled under Yahoo, Unarmed Black Man Killed in Walmart Parking Lot by Police Officers Firing Dozens of Bullets into a Packed Car. And so, unfortunately, this young man, he was killed. Police and his family, they say that it was an overly aggressive police response that led to the shooting. Is another unfortunate situation here, and it is more than likely going to spark more outrage because a lot of these incidences are happening extremely close together. And so it goes on to say in Yahoo, police have shot and killed 26-year-old in what his family say was an overly aggressive police response that led to an unnecessary death. So police in Barstow, California killed Deontay Yarber, a father of three, earlier this month. And so before I go into the article a little more in depth, most times when these incidents happen, they kind of look at the person and look at their history of who they were, and they kind of put that in these articles in the forefront to paint a picture of the individual and what kind of person they are. But it has nothing to do with the incident that has occurred. It's just past, brushes with the law. And we don't know if all of those incidences, what all of that was all about. We don't know the details, whether it's truth or it's just, another way to dig up something negative on a person because they know they've done something really wrong. And a lot of times it's usually they've done something really wrong by killing, an unarmed black person. And they try to dig up some of the worst things they can find on the individual to validate or justify why they shot the person. And it really doesn't fly well with the general population because it looks like it's happening a lot closer together and to a select group that is being targeted. So police in Barstow, California killed Deontay Yarber, a father of three, earlier this month after attempting to stop the vehicle he was in. A report from Barstow police says that Mr. Yarber was wanted for questioning in a stolen vehicle case and that he struck two police cars before an officer had opened fire. Dozens of gunshots can be heard in a shaky video recording. So apparently there's a video that has somehow surfaced by witnesses of the shooting. Mr. Yarber is said to have been unarmed at the time of the shooting, which also injured a young woman in the vehicle. So the police took him away for no reason. And Brittany Chandler, the mother of one of Mr. Yarber's children, told The Guardian this. And so the police should be held accountable for this. They're sick people for them to be able to shoot someone down in broad daylight. Previous reports from the police and local media in March indicate that Mr. Yarber had been sentenced to 4 years probation last year for child abuse or endangerment and resisting or obstructing an officer, according to the court records. Now, see how they drag this part of him in the story because they want you to know, this kind of thing that happened to him. Pretty much they're trying to sabotage his character so that it makes you feel less empathy for his death. And so we get a lot of articles like that, and it's basically to validate or justify why they killed him, and it doesn't fly well. So it's the same thing they did to Alton Sterling. And it come to find out when they reviewed the video and did a further and deeper investigation, they had to fire one of those officers. So I believe this is another situation that's going to end up possibly amounting to that, because we can't really say, because a lot of times they end up exonerating officers somehow. So it goes on to say in the article, which is not very long, it says that he was also sentenced to more than a year in prison in August of 2011 for pointing a shotgun at a group of people and then shooting overhead, other records show. And so Mr. Yarborough was taken into a police custody in mid-March on a felony charges for possessing a firearm, but managed to escape from custody at the time. So the shooting is the latest police video shooting of a black man to spark outrage locally and across the country after a Northern California police shot and killed Stephen Clark weeks ago. So Mr. Clark was standing in the backyard, and we know that story, his grandmother's home, when the police responding to a 911 call in the neighborhood shot him, and he was reportedly holding a cell phone, which they thought it was a gun, or they claimed it was a gun rather. And so an attorney for the Yarborough family said that the 26-year-old was not armed at all at the time, and that the car that he was in, which the police said that it had rammed into the first patrol car while reversing before accelerating into a second, posed no risk to the officer. So they saw a car full of black people sitting in front of a Walmart, and they decided that it was suspicious. Lee Merritt, the attorney, told The Guardian. They just began pouring bullets in that car. It's irresponsible. It's dangerous. It's mind-boggling, the use of force. So Mr. Merritt continued to say that he believed that Mr. Yarborough was trying to shield the other occupants that were in the car with him at the time when the shooting occurred. So when he was killed, actually. So the other victim is a 23-year-old woman who was initially taken into the back of the police car, but was later airlifted to receive medical attention. Mr. Yarborough was reportedly driving the car of his cousin, and the vehicle had not been reported stolen. So that is a total different story that conflicts with the story that the police had stated in the beginning of this article. And so in the beginning of the article, it was said that they had gotten word that the police said that the car was stolen, when in fact it wasn't a stolen car. So of course there's more to the story. Unfortunately, another young life lost. And this is the title of it. It says U.S. and it's on Yahoo by a Clark Mendock from The Independent. So like, comment, subscribe, or feedback, questions. It's an unfortunate situation, but this is happening all too close together. The two incidences that most recently happened were with Starbucks. Previous to this one, it's just a really unfortunate situation, and it seems to be happening all too close together, and which would raise red flags. Anybody in this community, the African American community, you need to talk to your sons, talk to your daughters, talk to your family, sit down and talk about how to try to protect yourself from these things. And some of this stuff is like, you just don't know when. You just feel like you almost have to live in fear, but you don't want to. So the only thing you do is just talk to your family members and try to be as safe as possible and not sit too long in a parking lot. Apparently, you just can't, you know, look suspicious, but how are you not going to look suspicious when most people will sit in the parking lot? I've seen that, you know, waiting on their family members to come out of a shopping center or a store or a mall. So I don't know what else to say except that this is a real terrible situation and something really needs